When you hear the name David Bowie, you think of a rock legend, a chameleon of music and style, a man who changed the face of pop culture forever. But behind the glitter, the personas, and the global fame, there was a quieter story unfolding, a story of a boy growing up in the shadow of a superstar, trying to find his own voice. That boy is Duncan Jones, Bowie's only son. While the world watched Ziggy Stardust conquer the stage, Duncan was navigating a childhood filled with both privilege and pressure, ultimately forging a path that would make him a creative force in his own right. This is the story of Duncan Jones, acclaimed filmmaker, devoted father, and the man who calls David Bowie dad. Duncan Jones's early life was anything but ordinary. Born in London in 1971 to David Bowie and Angie Bowie, he was thrust into a world of flashing cameras and screaming fans before he could even walk. As a child, Duncan, then known as Zowie, spent his formative years backstage at his father's concerts, watching the spectacle unfold from the wings. When Bowie transitioned into film, starring in cult classics like Labyrinth, young Duncan was right there, soaking in the magic of movie sets and the creative energy that would later inspire his own career. But the glitz came with a price. Duncan was never comfortable in the celebrity scene. He described himself as massively geeky and painfully shy, preferring to disappear into the background rather than bask in the spotlight. While other celebrity kids might have courted attention, Duncan avoided it, making it easy for the tabloids to overlook him, at least most of the time. Still, being David Bowie's son meant the media was always lurking. Bowie, fiercely protective, went to great lengths to shield his son from the paparazzi. After concerts, security would whisk Duncan away before his father emerged, and his nanny would cover his head to prevent photographers from snapping a picture. Even the simple act of going home became a covert operation, leaving a lasting impact on Duncan's sense of privacy and self. Duncan's journey to self-identity was marked by a series of name changes. Born Duncan Zowie Haywood Jones, he was called Zowie as a child, a whimsical name chosen by his parents. At age 11, craving normalcy, he switched to Joey, then Joe, before finally reclaiming his birth name, Duncan, at 18. The name Zowie never left his heart, though. When his daughter was born in 2018, he named her Zoe, a touching nod to his own childhood. In a heartfelt post, Duncan reflected on the full circle moment, realizing that he would one day write to his daughter Zoe as dad, just as his father had done for him. To the world, David Bowie was a shape-shifting icon, Ziggy Stardust, the thin white duke, Aladdin Sane. But to Duncan, he was simply dad. Their relationship was close, built on shared interests rather than shared stages. Bowie tried to nudge his son toward music, but Duncan never caught the bug. Instead, they bonded over action figures and Star Wars marathons, finding common ground in imagination and play. As Duncan grew older, Bowie supported his son's desire to experiment with his appearance, even when it meant sporting a mohawk. "I'd go around with him whatever he looked like," Bowie once said, embracing his son's individuality. Despite the physical distance that came with Bowie's second marriage to supermodel Iman and the birth of Duncan's half-sister, Lexi, the father and son remained close. They Skyped every weekend, and Bowie was always a supportive presence, encouraging Duncan's creative pursuits and respecting his need to carve out his own identity. Given his parentage, many assumed Duncan would follow in his father's artistic footsteps. But after high school, he took a different route, studying philosophy at a rural college in Ohio. He even began a PhD at Vanderbilt University before realizing academia wasn't his calling. "I was angry and frustrated when I was younger and didn't know my place in the world," he later admitted. Determined to succeed on his own terms, Duncan never used his father's name to open doors. Instead, he found his passion in film, directing one of Bowie's concert films before graduating from London Film School in 2001. His breakthrough came in 2009 with Moon, a cerebral sci-fi drama starring Sam Rockwell. The film was a critical darling, winning 28 awards, including a BAFTA for Outstanding Debut by a British writer, director, or producer. Duncan's influences were clear. He drew inspiration from classics like Silent Running and Alien, crafting stories about ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances. Bowie was over the moon about his son's success, proud to see Duncan finally step into his own spotlight. Tragedy struck in January 2016 when David Bowie died of cancer at age 69. The loss was devastating for Duncan, who shared a childhood photo on social media with a simple, heartbreaking message: "Very sorry and sad to say it's true. I'll be offline for a while. Love to all." On the 5th anniversary of Bowie's death, Duncan reflected, "Yes, he's missed. But with so much of him in the work he made, he's clearly still here." Just a year later, Duncan lost another pillar in his life, his former nanny, Marion "Skinny" Skeen, who had been a surrogate mother during his turbulent childhood. "She raised me. Without her, who knows what kind of a mess I'd be," he tweeted, underscoring the importance of chosen family. Duncan's relationship with his mother, Angie Bowie, was far more complicated. After his parents' divorce in 1980, David won full custody, and Duncan ceased all contact with Angie at age 13. Angie later admitted that their chaotic lifestyle and her absence had a profound effect on her son, especially after watching Moon, which she described as all about alienation and abandonment. Despite her desire to reconnect, Duncan has made it clear that the estrangement was necessary for his well-being. In 2012, Duncan married photographer Rodine Ronquillo on the same day she was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. The couple faced the diagnosis head-on, with Rodine undergoing a double mastectomy and aggressive chemotherapy. By 2013, she was cancer-free, and the couple's bond had only grown stronger. Duncan and Rodine welcomed their first child, Stanton David, in 2016, and their daughter, Zoe, in 2018. Duncan has been candid about the challenges of parenthood, admitting on social media that raising young children is exhausting, frustrating, and life-destabilizing. His honesty sparked debate, but many praised him for speaking openly about the realities of fatherhood. After the success of Moon, Duncan continued to make his mark in Hollywood. He directed Source Code, 2011, a mind-bending thriller starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and Warcraft, 2016, a big-budget adaptation of the beloved video game. While Warcraft received mixed reviews, it showcased Duncan's ability to handle large-scale productions and complex visual effects. In 2018, he released Mute on Netflix, a noir-tinged sci-fi set in the same universe as Moon. Though the film divided critics, it cemented Duncan's reputation as a director unafraid to take risks and explore unconventional stories. Most recently, Duncan has ventured into animation, co-writing and directing Rogue Trooper, based on the cult British comic from 2000 AD. The film, set for release in 2025 or 2026, tells the story of a genetically engineered soldier seeking justice in a war-torn future. Duncan describes the project as political and brutal at times, but always with a Python-esque twinkle in the eye, a perfect fit for his unique sensibilities. Duncan Jones's life has been a journey of self-discovery, resilience, and creative ambition. He has navigated the complexities of fame, family, and personal loss with honesty and integrity, forging a path that is uniquely his own. While the world will always remember David Bowie as a musical genius, Duncan Jones stands as a testament to the power of carving out your own identity, even in the brightest of spotlights. He is more than just David Bowie's son. He is a visionary filmmaker, a loving husband and father, and a man who has turned the challenges of his extraordinary upbringing into a legacy all his own.